Hillside Poultry, I started in 2011, 2010, 2011. I got out of high school and wanted to raise some chickens on the farm, my grandfather's farm that we're here today on. I'm seventh generation, grew up here, and it's been a farm ever since we got the land. Started with cows grazing everywhere, and then
Where did you get the land?
I want to say the 1800s. There's no real documentation, but I'm seventh generation, so there's been, all sorts of different farmers, different things going on here. But my grandfather went to school at Stockbridge, and graduated in poultry production, and had 10,000 egg layers, 5,000 meat birds, and had a big thing going on. Everyone in Cape, Lower Cape knew about him and would bring him eggs and meat to different restaurants and stuff. But in the 80s and early 70s, he couldn't compete with the price of eggs and chicken in the industry, and slowly the whole farm kind of turned into nothing. But my uncle and I started to pick it back up in the 2000s. So when I got out of high school, I decided to go to college, the same college that my grandfather went to, and studied agriculture. And yeah, so I studied agriculture, and I wanted to do the vegetable thing with my uncle, but we wanted to do meat too, so I stuck with the meat production. And so now I'm doing chickens. I started off doing 900 chickens, and then now I'm up to 2,000, almost 2,500. So it's pretty cool. But what I think is cool is that I base my whole operation off the pastured poultry method. The idea of starting the chickens, brooding them, mimicking a hen and its chicks. So you got the hen who keeps the chicks warm, and then they got to get cold and go eat the food and get the water, then come back and get warm. So as you see in the brooder domes, there's the dome where it's warm, but the water and feed are on the outside.
Is that to simulate a very natural environment?
Yeah, that, and also it helps them mature more. So kind of like everything in nature, they need to work for their stuff. So if it was warm and just cozy all the time, they'd just be kind of lazy about everything. So we let them go out and get their food, and we also raise the waters up and feeders up, so they have to reach for stuff. And then so they're in here, and I supplement with hay here and there. But it has to stay really dry, and hay's not really good at keeping stuff dry. Mm-hmm. But then in 3 weeks, I bring them down on pasture. Then on pasture, I move them every day to a new spot off of yesterday's excrement onto that fresh green pasture, and that freshness of that move stimulates ingestion of the green material on the grass. So they consume 30% less grain. They couldn't, live off of just pasture, but they consume 30%. So it's all those micronutrients is in the grasses, and then in return, all that nutrients goes to the meat that we get to enjoy. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And so you do that, and then you do pigs.
Yep, I do around 2 to 6, 8 pigs a year, mainly for my family and the restaurants that are so good to me. So, and then the ducks is also for restaurants, because, if I didn't have that, 60 to 70% of my sales are the restaurant, so it keeps me going. I slaughtered 90 birds a week this year. So, yeah, so I said, they take a weekly, and then I have some for the farmer's market, but it's a weekly thing. So if I get stuck up by a restaurant with 30 birds in 2 weeks, yeah, it takes a toll on me. Then I got to figure out how to get rid of them, and then I could get rid of them, but it's just easier for me to know that they're going to take the chickens.
Consistently,
Yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, so yeah, I've been doing this, and I've tweaked everything. I built these. I had this hoop house, and then I had them just hanging lights and stuff. But then I built these brooders. Now I have them all sectioned off. I had the domes, and now I'm starting to put this poly board so everything's can be clean and no diseases and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that's cool.
Did you know you were always going to do this?
I wanted to. I really wanted to for a while. Me and my brother, because we used to have the cows out here. When I was growing up, we would feed the cows, but my grandfather always said, "Don't think about it. Don't get into farming at all, because it's a labor of love, but you won't make any money, and what's happened to me is going to happen to you, so don't do it." So and I was like, okay, fine. So I thought I was gonna be a hockey star or be like in sports medicine and something like that. But I looked into it and I played junior hockey and I was watching everything around me and I just felt more at peace when I was down here. You can go anywhere and it's like you're going through the motions, but when I was here, it's like where I was supposed to be. So I played junior hockey, and then I told my family that I wanted to get some egg layers. I wanted to do eggs for chickens because I couldn't do the vegetables. And they're like, then I was thinking about it. I couldn't go to college if I had egg layers because I couldn't, take care of the chickens, when I'm at school. So I found this. I went online and I found this pasture poultry method and this mobile slaughter unit. So I could raise the chickens during the summertime and then kill them all before I went to school. So I raised, like that 900 that first year, went to college, and I studied the Stockbridge program. And when I was there, you do an internship. So I picked an internship with the people that own the unit. So I raised the mobile poultry processing unit out of New Entry Sustainable Farming Project.
Is that where is that at West Mass?
So the one that I worked at was at in Belchertown, Mass.
Okay.
But the main office is in Grafton, and Jennifer Hashley's like the big, she runs the whole program. So it's really cool. So right now, I manage the mobile unit. It's in Falmouth right now, but I'll have it here in about 2 weeks. But it's a unit that goes to farms, to people that want to slaughter their chickens, certifiable so you can sell them. So in the state, there's no way to slaughter chickens that's legally to sell. You have to either use this unit or bring it to Rhode Island or Manchester, Vermont. So it's a big bottleneck for farmers because you can't slaughter stuff and sell it.
Yeah, you're not self-sufficient.
If I didn't have this unit, I had to drive to Rhode Island every week and bring them down, and it's just a whole. And I didn't agree with that. Like I wanted to keep everything on a farm. This farm is almost a closed loop system besides the grain I had to get out. And in college, that was kind of my goal, is like figuring out a way to have a closed loop system. Yeah, because I compost all the stuff, all their viscera, all that stuff gets composted, and then it goes back into the fields. That's what's most sustainable about farming. Is what you try to do is try to eliminate outsources and do it yourself.
The whole point of it. And then I guess can you just talk about the importance of sorority? It's awesome to have restaurants that are like that. And basically that's why I want to kind of do this kind of mini doc about, because I never thought of Cape Cod as a farm place. But
it's not really, but the people that like it
yeah.
are like hardcore, like really like want us to thrive and want this whole thing to thrive. So, and the people that farm, you're really close to, and the people that like it, you're really close to.
Yeah, it seems like a great community of like restaurant owners, people who get to enjoy it too and eat it.
And it's like he told me when I first started, he was buying my stuff. He helped me slaughter one time, and he's like, Drew, I'll never forget this. He's like, whatever you raise, I'll buy. And it just made me feel more comfortable about, like I wanted to do ducks, but they're more expensive and they're more hard to take care of. But if he's gonna buy them, then I want to help him out too, and I can. I want to get goats or sheep someday. I'd love to get cows, but again, it's just time. And what's nice about the chickens is it's an 8-week turnover.
So it's pretty quick, right?
Yeah, so you get them, and then they're a week old tomorrow, and then in 7 weeks I'll process them, and then I could just keep going. And also you don't, like with turkeys or other animals, you always have the chance of them dying or something bad happening. So with turkeys, they're 25 weeks. The 20th week, if you have a huge thunderstorm and they because there's this old myth that when it starts raining, they're wondering what's on top of them, and they look up and they drowned. Yeah, which my grandfather told me happened to him one time. They were just out and it was like a afternoon rainstorm. But you lose all that money. You invested so much money into those chickens, so you lose that money. But
that must be a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like your livelihoods in these things.
Yeah, so like I lost 10 already because the post office I get them in the mail, so the little boxes right there. And I found out they got to Wareham and they stayed in a truck overnight, which was like 40 degrees that night. So what happens is that they're living off their yolk the first couple days, and then once they get in here, they transition themselves to the water and food. And if they're chilled off, if they're really lethargic, they just won't make that transition. So I was looking in there and they're like lethargic, their eyes are opening, and I was like, I grabbed them, I tried to put them near the water and dunked her, but it's already happened.
It's like too late at that
Yeah.
point now.
So I was like, is there something wrong? I called my flock health inspector. He's like, no, it's just the way, it just happens. That's why they send you 6 extra, which is fine. But in the summertime, I don't ever have that issue, so.
Yeah, hawks though.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, the birds.
Yeah, so I have hawks out there. And I've had coyotes and foxes, but I have that exterior fence that helps keep them out. But the hawks are like gnarly. They come around, but they're all closed in, as you saw. They'll walk around the pen, look for one little spot that's not level, and they'll sit on their butts and their wings out and put their feet under, and wait for one to walk by, grab it with his foot, and yank it out.
Get out of there. Holy crap. That's the thing about the free range chicken is all
Yeah.
protection, because they're trying to be better for the chickens, but then they're
Yeah.
just gonna get eaten.
So that's the other reason why the pasture pens are so nice, because there's small numbers in there. So there's 60 birds per pen. And after you get over 60, there's a pecking order. So here there's 180, and what I'm going to do in a couple days is turn this pen on and pick the alphas out of this pen. So I'm going to take them all out of here, weigh them up, and then take the alphas, which are so say that the average weight is 0.84. Every chicken above 9.9 pounds is going to go into this pen, so that these alphas can be alphas together, and the rest of them have a chance to grow and be their own alphas over here. So you separate them out so there's less stress that way, and then you bring them down on pasture, and then they're safe in those pens. They feel safe, but yet they have all that grass to eat. So there's very little stress. That's the whole idea. Little stress, low numbers, great life, and they just have one bad day.
People to support this kind of movement and support local farms, local restaurants, that support local farms.
It's super important. So back to school, my senior capstone project was titled Strengthening Community Food Using an Integrated Farming Plan. So strengthening community food, like us in this community, can only happen if everybody's on board. So if everybody wants to buy good food from the farmer's like, sweet, I'll grow it. But if I had to outsource it to Boston or off Cape, I don't feel too comfortable about that. It's just a whole nother hassle to do. So when the community's together and I can sell my product to them and just them, and it's just a closed loop system in that sense, it just means a lot. And people talk about the carbon footprint of how in the middle of winter is it possible to have so many salad greens down here? It's because California's growing it, or Mexico, or whoever, or even South America, and it's being shipped up here. And there's just so much with fuel, carbon footprint. So and the labor, it's just you should really eat in the seasons is something that I really believe in. But to have the community on board with the farms is a huge thing, and I think that if they really let us know, each farmer would grow for them. So right now it's just the farmers markets and stuff like that we know about, but it's only one day a week. So it's like I could grow a ton more stuff, but I'm just selling on Saturdays. If there was like this one spot that could, like a co-op, that I could just drop my chickens off or bring other vegetables and not have to worry about selling it one-to-one kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if there's a % markup. It's not really that big a deal because I'd be raising so much stuff. But it's super important just for the food itself going into your body. The stuff that's coming from wherever has to be preserved somehow, whether we think about it or not. There's something that's happening to have salad greens to stay fresh for 2 weeks. Normally when you cut salad greens, it's like 4 days, if that, even if it gets chilled.
Do you think this whole belief should be, is it kind of fall more on the consumer as like an independent, or is it more like on restaurants? Like, where do you think we need to kind of take the next?
On Cape Cod or just in general?
I guess speaking of Cape Cod, yeah.
Yeah, on Cape Cod it's tough because I base my whole production off of July and August because I know I can sell everything then. So that's why, like, I'm gonna shoot for 90 birds a week starting the last week of June, all July and all of August, and I know I can sell them. But over the winter time, I'll have like maybe 400. So that sense is like the farmer, when I went to UMass, it was like CSAs everywhere. Everyone was growing year round in the hoop houses and stuff, and it was just a cool concept. And it's like we call that the bubble out there because it's really not. It's not real life out there because you know everyone's really into it out there, and there's enough farmland for everybody. The farmland out here is really sandy, so you need a lot. You need to implement stuff with manures or whatever other soils and stuff like that. But so that's how you make your money, is to grow like that. All of us around here, in my opinion. But if there was a group of consumers that are really about the product and would like to buy, you know, I have some people that buy 20 chickens off me a year to have in their freezer. And I think for other farmers, if they could, you know, raise the produce, if they really wanted it, they would do it. But they need more people than just like 5. It'd be like a 50-person thing where I would know about it, you know, Dave DeWitt or Lucas or those guys.
So you rely a lot on the traditional Cape
Oh, yeah.
summer tourism like everybody does, and that makes it difficult to
Yeah.
keep this thing going more around year
Yeah.
round. Just because the locals aren't into it enough, or they could be more.
Yeah, you know, it's
That's why the co-op you mentioned would be like a really great thing.
yeah, it'd be huge if we had one central spot where we could bring our stuff and just have it, and they know about it, and it just be really. I've been talking about that forever. My biggest, like I told you, my senior project. You know, Tea Time in Eastham. You know Willie's Gym.
Oh, Willie's Gym, yeah.
I've had this idea of having like pasture animals and farm out back, and then the front would be like a co-op, and then like maybe a little educational room down the side. And I just, because there's not much flat land left around. But like I've always thought, like, have you ever heard of Stone Barns in New York?
No.
There's this educational restaurant, educational farm. Straldi knows about it,
Yeah.
where they grow their stuff, their produce, and they have their animals, and then they have their farm, and they have their restaurant, and they have their retail, then they have educational stuff, from, you know, 4-H little kids all the way up to people that just want to learn about farming.
Yeah.
And it's just, and then when there's so many people like involved and excited about it, it's easier to get stuff done.
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, let's go. You know, I got 5 people that want to help do this project. But when it's just me, like, I want to do it, get it done, and it just takes me longer. And it's like, I got a baby at home now. I got a wife. They need me to, you know, she needs the help. And
Yeah. You need people to.
yeah.
Well, it's probably why it's a huge motivation why we reached out to Seraldi, because what he's doing.
So you reached out to him.
Yeah, well, I did another project, and that's when I first heard about him. Like, this guy doesn't seem like a guy. This doesn't seem like a Cape Cod restaurant.
Yeah.
And then again, I started learning about all these local farms, and I feel like I wasn't even really aware. You know, we go to Stop and Shop. That's
Yeah.
where we go. We grew up in Sandwich.
Okay.
So, but it's a big community, and it needs to be bigger, which is why we're motivated to make kind of a video
Yeah.
like this.
No, that's awesome. That's cool.
What about like when you're a kid? Like, is there do you have any memories of the farm or anything?
Oh yeah, I used to. So the cows were down here. That whole pasture we were just in was all fenced in, and it was fenced in up here. And I would always come down and feed them. There was an electric fence, but they would get out every once in a while. And I was sleeping at my house, and I had a room on the bottom floor, and I woke up and there was a cow right in my window like this. No joke. It was freaked me out, but I'll never forget that vision. But they would just get out and they'd roam everywhere and just eat stuff. But yeah, coming down and hanging out with the pigs. There was an electric fence, so we used to, like, me, my brother, and my cousins, we would all hold hands, and one would grab the electric fence, and the last person on the end would get shocked.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We'd play like street hockey or whatever, baseball, and a ball would go in the fence. And we had a metal bat with a little plastic thing on it. My brother was like, "Don't get it, you won't get shocked," and he knew. So I was like reaching for it, you get shocked. And we used to like, run, because they weren't that fast. You sneak up behind them and like hit them on their butt and run away and stuff like that.
The cows?
Yeah. And we used to, when you get big zucchinis, they're not really sellable. We would hollow them out and just make like little boats out of them and put them in the pond and stuff like that. Paint them up. And then sledding was always fun because we got these hills.
Yeah.
It's a hill over there, and a hill over there. Yeah, we used to like play like army and like, because we could go anywhere. It was just cool. Like, there was all of us, and we just would like run around here. And we used to, one year I got in trouble because we were like pretending like it was like like life or death. We had to go get food, so there was carrots out in the field, and every day we would go get some carrots and bring them back and like spread them out. Be like, all right, this one's mine, this one's yours, and we gotta save this for today, and then tomorrow we can go get more though. It was like a week, and then my grandfather found out. He was pissed. Yeah. But it was just a cool way to grow up, you know, being around all this stuff. And so, which was kind of sad for me, is like when I was little, it was thriving with the vegetables. There was just cows, no chickens. And then as I got older, my grandfather has Joseph's disease, so he slowly couldn't really be out on the farm. It's a nerve disease, and no one was really picking it up. And then my uncle and I was young, so he didn't really like think I was gonna be all about it. But I was like, I want to do this so bad. He's like, all right. So he started to clean up the farm and do his thing, and then, he didn't know much about farming. He just knew what my grandfather did, and so he went through a lot of ups and downs. You know, he's like, "That with this sucks." Like, da, da, da. So he ended up starting to do a lot of hydroponics and hoop house stuff, which is very, you know, they need this, that, and the other thing. If they don't get it, then they're not going to do good. But if they do, they'll do great. So he's good with his system over there. I'm more about this organic, like, you know, soil, grass, chickens. They call like, so have you heard Joel Salatin? He's so he's the guy who the method that I do, the pasture poultry, he designed the method, and he calls himself a grass farmer, because if he doesn't have the grass, he can't do anything else he wants to do. So, yeah, he's like one of my idols, and Elliot Coleman's a cool dude. He's a farmer in Maine that does 4-season farming, and he hates California. He's the man, Elliot Coleman. So his goal is to, like, he grows year round, 4 seasons, you know, spring mixes and carrots and leeks. He grows really cool leeks, but everything. But what he did is he went over to Spain and learned about their 4-season farming, because it's on the 44th parallel. So we have the same seasons. And he learned about how they grow year round, and then he brought all that information back, and he's been doing it. He's wrote like 4 books.
Where's he based out of?
In Maine.
Oh, in Maine, okay.
Yeah, he's like 7 hours from here. Because I want to go see it, and I was like, I put it in Google Maps, and it's a hike.